Hello and welcome to What Maps, the map review show for Cities Skylines. There are tens of thousands of maps in the workshop now, and so finding the right one for your next build is a huge task. So each day, Monday to Saturday, we'll review one, using our 5-star rating for aesthetics, detail and gameplay potential, awarding only the very best the coveted seal of approval. So join me, fellow Skylines explorers, as we venture to today's new land. Who am I? I'm BonBonB, and you are very, very welcome.
Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to Monday's What Map. BonBon here, hope you had a really good weekend. I'm sorry there wasn't a video yesterday, I just ran out of time. I've been concentrating on getting the new series up and running, and so it's packed today, absolutely packed. Today's map is a vanilla map done by one of the best map makers that is out there, and then we got an asset which is a building with Americana slapped all over it, and the theme and LUT combination is by Ecania, so we have an Ecania special to finish. So make yourself comfortable, we have got a lot to get through in the next 19 minutes. Today's map is Vanilla Lake by MrMiyagi. Mr. Miyagi has obviously put his name into the title, making it easier, hopefully, to find his stuff on the workshop. There's your start square. Everything ends at the start square. Must be Rome, I guess. And your resources are splodged everywhere, which is perfect for the vanilla player, because it's a vanilla map. And because it's a vanilla map, once you go to the workshop and have a look at it, there's nothing to subscribe to. Having said that, there is a little note about a hydro dam system, tried and tested, which we will have a look at later, because that's what we're here to do. We're going to have a look at the map. Right, so Mr. Miyagi, what can we say about him? Well, he's done some of the best maps out there. His maps are basically playable. And recently he's been doing these vanilla type maps, ones which are less striking, less labour intensive on the CPU, etc. And probably aimed more at the new player, and that's great. It's really, really good. It does, however, mean that they're also, from like a map review point of view, a little bit dull. I hate to say it, but a little bit dull. I mean, eminently playable. Eminently playable. They are going to be highly playable maps. Our first intersection, let's have a look at this while I have a look at this. So yeah, the roads are high enough. Yeah, that's the, oh, look at that. Look at this. This sort of thing you won't find in his maps. Glitching between the roads. And we've got some road glitching. Well, I never. That might be the most interesting thing we see today in today's map. Anyway, we'll head down to ground level again and move on. So yes, his map, this particular map isn't going to be striking on the eye because it is very vanilla, very plain and ordinary, and very designed to be played. Is our next intersection, and we'll be heading off that way, so why not? Okay, now notice the ground textures around the road, to see how they are changing and whatever. Those are different resources, so we're going through fertile land at the moment. The dark would have been oil, and then we've got some sort of like mid-tones on the left there, which probably would be ore. And it just makes it easy for the new player to know what sort of land he's building on in terms of industry, which is great. It's very nicely done again. Now this intersection's a little bit janky in places. I forgot to zoom in and have a look at that. The standard is still pretty good, don't get me wrong. It's just not at the highest of the highest standards that Mr. Miyagi would normally aspire to. This intersection's perfect, apart from a little bit of glitching between the roads, which we'll have a look at in a moment. There we are. A little bit of glitching. It happens. It happens to the best of us. And if it happens to Mr. Miyagi, then it happens to the best of us. Okay, well, we'll head on down. Now, I'll say this is going to be a very smooth ride, not a bumpy ride at all. There's not going to be too much to get excited about. I'm not going to be laughing every 15 seconds at, oh my god, what have I found? No, this is going to be just a plain and ordinary map to look at. And I know that you are going to love it, especially if you want a nice flat map to build on. Here, this is your start square. Instead of two stumps, we've got the roundabout with little branches just to get you started. Makes it a little bit easier, and I think a lot of you will appreciate that. The rail is to be expected. Everything's smooth, everything's ordinary. You've got elevated where it needs to be elevated, and it's smooth transitions between elevations. And yeah, excuse me, sorry, asthma there. Okay, right, so we'll just follow this along and see if we can find anything interesting to talk about down here. Wow, oh, we got a branch off. There we are. The branch off goes off that way. Okay, and then it goes off this way, and that goes off to the fog. Okay, fine. That's fog direction. Now, in terms of the theme and LUT, I have been listening to you guys as well with what theme. Is that high enough? That's perfectly high enough. That's fine. And a lot of you have said that you find it a little disinteresting because you actually tune in for the sound of my voice, which I think you're just all crackers, absolutely crackers. If you're tuning in for my wittering, then you're just lunatics, you really are. But there you go, this dead ends down here in the start square. And so anyway, over here we've got two rail lines. These run parallel together. I've got a minor grumble about this, in that of all the places that you could have put a second line, I think this is possibly too close and too parallel with this particular rail line. But yes, so I've got a solution to the what theme drudgery, and you'll have to wait to the end to find out what that is. But before we get to that, we'll do something else. We'll do an asset review. Are you ready? No, I'm not either. It's a lovely asset today. This one I've spent a little bit of time doing some decorating. I had some free time. And this is East Coast Housing, 3x4, levels 1 and 2 by 220 hertz. The building and the parking lot is what the asset is, and everything else around it is just a little bit of decoration by me because I was bored. And if you find that you're looking at, say, the sun's in the wrong position, yes, because I was doing other stuff, and I've recorded this one completely separately from anything else you'll see this week. So yeah, I apologise if that's throwing you out completely. It's East Coast Housing 3x4 levels 1 and 2 by 220 hertz, today's asset of the day. And we are back to Vanilla Lake by MrMiyagi. And we've got 4 shipping routes. There they are. Yeah? Is that confusing? Is that complicated? Nah, didn't think so. Water. Right, we've got a water source there in the Vanilla Lake. And that just pushes enough motion into the water. So here you see, all those arrows are spread out, but it is moving. And it is still moving. Slowly, if we keep going along, if we drop down again here, you see it's moving at the edges, the water is still moving, and then we hit into the river system where it starts picking up a little bit. So yes, anyway you put your sewage outflows, etc., the water will keep flowing. A little bit of waterfall there. We'll come back to that in a minute. I think you know what's going to be happening there already. And then the outflows out there, and that is fine, absolutely fine. Does seem to slow, but look, still little arrows there. Everything's still moving. So that's okay. That's, oh, hello. Welcome to Trevor Phillips Airlines. I hope you enjoy your flight while we crash into Los Santos International. Please call again very, very soon. Okay, up the river. Up the river. Now, the river's fine. Look at the banks. It builds right up to the edges there. There's no stupidly high edges, and it's all good. All very nice indeed. Then we get this waterfall. Now this is the most interesting part of the whole map, of course, the waterfall, because you know, if we go, we'll come back to it because it's so interesting. And then you got the lake up here, which is fine. Any drowned trees? Nothing obvious, nothing that I can make out anyway. Okay, yeah, back to that waterfall. Most interesting part. See that brick wall on either side there? That's lining up where you're to put your hydro dam. So MrMiyagi has helped you out, said this is where you want to put your hydro dam. Do you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to have a look, shall we? There's a hydro dam there. We'll just draw it across like that. Line it up with those 2 brick walls. Come back out into that view. Now that's going to fill up with water fairly quickly. It's not a huge area to flood. So we'll come back and have a look at that before we finish today's episode. The hills, I don't know. I'm not sold on them. Don't like the texture of them. I apologise if you heard the motorbike in the background. Of course, they always go past as I'm trying to record some voiceover. And yeah, just having a look at the terrain as well. You can see lots of buildable areas. You could even build up into the hills without any major problems at all. In fact, the actual build area is huge. There's the colour blotching of the resources I was telling you about earlier. So that's all very nice as well. Makes it very easy for the vanilla player to build a huge city. You could really build a huge city here. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands is definitely a possibility. And we got a little BonBon Island. I wouldn't like that one. It's a little bit dull for me. I'd like at least a tree on my island. Let's head back up the river and have a look at this hydro dam. See if it's filled up yet. You filled up? Yes, you have. Look at that. There you go. So that would provide you with a good power, a good source of power to supplement everything else that you're doing for your city. So there we are. Right. Let's give this map some marks, shall we? Let me get settled down. Right. Aesthetically, I don't think it's the most beautiful map I've ever seen. I think it is very vanilla in aesthetics. And I'm going to give this 3 stars for aesthetics. For detail, the detail's pretty good. Not too much wrong with it. 1 or 2 minor bits, but I think it's definitely worth a 4th star for detail. Very difficult to give more than that. And then on gameplay potential, I think pretty much unlimited here. There's nothing major to fix before you get started. I'll give that 5 big fat juicy stars for gameplay, because you could just get straight on in, nothing to fiddle with, just enjoy the map and make the map more aesthetically pleasing with your highly detailed city build. The question is, can I give it a seal of approval? I think I can, you know. I think I can, even with just 3 stars for aesthetics, because of the playability factor. There is no question you can get on and enjoy that. Right, so let's move over to what theme. And today we're looking at the Frostic Fall theme, starting with midday, using in the top left, as you can see, a vanilla temperate LUT, which is going to be the fixed plate for that. And then we've got definitive vision in the top right and overcast natural in the bottom left. Two themes that were selected by you guys as being your favourites, so they are on a 3-day loop. And in the bottom right, today's guest theme is Vivid, and if I'm honest with you, of the 4 themes, I'm liking, for Frostic Falls, I'm liking the Vivid LUT a lot. And so it's probably my favourite of the 4, especially at night time. But anyway, right, I said I was going to talk about something that would keep you entertained to the end of the show. And one of the things I used to do was I used to collect factoids. And when I say collect this is long before Google and the internet came along. And factoids, kind of like little facts. I've not checked any of these. So if these factoids at any point in the future, they could become obsolete. And if that's they may have been incorrect to start off with. If that's the case, I do apologise. But at the time of collecting them, I believe they were correct, or I believe they were correct. Collecting, they were correct. And as it's the first day of these factoids, I think we'll start with something about first times. How about Oliver Wright, who, with his brother, was the first man to fly, was also involved in the world's first fatal air crash? Well, there you go, you see. It's got to be a safe thing flying, isn't it? Jumping off of a high thing with like wings attached to yourself. Nothing can go wrong, surely. The first authenticated British earthquake occurred in 974 AD. Well, I'm pretty sure obviously there were earthquakes before 974 AD, and yeah, but that's the first one that has been authenticated. Thanks to satellite photos, the dark side of the moon was seen for the first time in 1959. Now this one I'm going to talk about just a little bit, because of course there is no dark side of the moon. No, there really isn't. There's a side of the moon that can't be seen from Earth, but the moon has day and night cycles as well. And sometimes, if you've got a crescent moon, most of that moon is light on the what we're calling the dark side of the moon. So there is no dark side of the moon, not permanently anyway. There is a side of the moon that is further from the Earth, because obviously the mass of the moon is heavier on this side, which is why it permanently faces us, because of gravity. Okay, a little bit of science. That wasn't my factoids, that was just my personal knowledge, and I apologise if I bored you to sleep, but you want me to talk over this stuff, so I'm going to keep talking. Okay, how about the world's first donut hole machine was painted? I wish I could learn to read my own writing. The world's first donut hole machine was patented in 1872, the same year that the first toothpick machine was introduced. So there you go. If you ever get a donut hole stuck in your teeth, use a toothpick. It was all invented in the same year, the hole and the toothpick. The Swedish. Know anybody from Sweden? Yeah, me too. Matilda. She was lovely. I miss you. Matilda, if you're watching this, Tilly, if you're watching this, drop me a mention. I miss you. Anyway, the Swedish were the first nation to scrap glass milk bottles in favour of paper cartons. Well, how about that? Well done, Sweden. The first recorded operation for varicose veins was performed on the Roman consul Marius. Thank you for honking, very helpful. It was so painful that he only had one leg done, and that does not surprise me. The first bathtub in America was owned by Benjamin Franklin. Well, that's just a bit selfish, isn't it? He should have shared them out. Everybody should have had one. The first magician to saw a woman in half was Count the Grizzly. Sounds grisly. In 1799. I don't know if she survived the act, but there we are. And we'll finish with one more. Shall we finish with one more? Maybe two. Queen Elizabeth I owned the first wristwatch. There we are. Got the time, Mom? Yes. It's time to cut off your head. Oh, fine. Well, last one. The first pair of false eyelashes was developed in Hollywood. It was made of human hair woven into tiny strips of cloth and then stuck onto the eyelid. Well, there you are. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking and subscribing. There'll be more factoids in tomorrow's show as well, when I talk over somebody else's beautiful work. I've been BonBonB. You have been very, very, very welcome. And I'm now going to realise, actually, I didn't need to end now, because I've got this thing tacked onto the end that I'm allowed to talk over, this bit. So anyway, thanks for watching, commenting, liking and subscribing. Click on the bottom left for the most recent video. Click on the bottom right for the last particular Watts map, and that big circle in the middle, click on that to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, you can join my Patreon as well on patreon.com/BonBonB. Right, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for another map in the Watts Map series. Cheers guys, you've been amazing, as always.